You're watching Morning at NTV.
Morning, welcome back to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Now, did you know that soon, we're going to be having the annual national prayer breakfast. Of course, this is a forum where Parliament organizes every single year, a prayer session just for us to get to pray for the country. And so in studios to talk about that and more is Honorable Francis Konahansa, who is from FDC, but he is the Member of Parliament, Kabweri County. He's also part of the organizing committee for this year's National Prayer Breakfast. Now, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let's start off on this particular note. Why do we have this kind of event every single year? Why is it important for us to pray for the country?
The motto of Uganda says, "For God and my country." And against that motto, we as Ugandans have very little choice. We have to pray because the only way we can get to God is through prayer. And why do we do it every year? As a country, we have to keep reminding ourselves of where we came from. In 1962, we got our independence. It's soon 56 years. And we would like to keep reminding ourselves that we belong to God. Uganda belongs to God. It was created by God. And why do we have to pray anyway? The purpose of prayer is to connect the country to our roots, to fellowship and to network with each other across the board. You introduced me very well. I belong to the FDC. But the Bible says, and I want to read this one, in Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, chapter 7, verse 14, it says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land." It does not say, if my people who are in NRM, all my people. And therefore, as a Christian, I believe that I am doing my rightful role to pray for my country. And I invite everybody. Interestingly, the prayer breakfast is organized by all of us. I'm the publicity secretary. I mean, I'm actually in charge of publicity, and that's why I'm going from TV to TV talking about this thing. Members of the NRM are involved. The organizer or the hostess of the thing is always the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, and the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Jacob Olanya, is involved. In fact, he's the one who identified the speaker, the keynote speaker of this thing. So the point is, all God's people come together and pray.
Regardless of your political affiliation.
Without anything to do with your tribe, your color, your whatever affiliation. And I will tell you something. It's not only Christians. Even the Muslims will be with us. During that function, we read portions from the Bible, we read portions from the Quran, we read portions from whatever religious texts we have.
Okay, this is scheduled to take place on Monday.
Yes.
And of course, the day after, it will be the Independence Day. But let's take a look to last year's National Prayer Breakfast and get to listen in on what exactly transpired. Of course, the chief guest of that year's National Prayer was our president, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and he still will be the chief guest of this year's event. Let's take a listen to what he had to say last year.
Open now the crystal fountain where the healing stream does flow. Let the fire and loud and belong with me on my journey. Strong deliverer, strong deliverer, strong.
That they started this tradition in the US Congress when there was a bad situation in the world, the division between East and West, and they wanted a forum where they could meet without regard to partisanship, to think about God and humanity. I'm glad the tradition has taken root here. So I want to encourage the Parliament to continue. It's good you have internalized it and make it part of your tradition. And you just pray and pray, and the whole night you shouting as if God is deaf. While you need to address this, he has given you everything already. Even our ancestors said so. Rubare mbera nachi rubare mbera nembero kotadde. God help those who help themselves.
God helps those who help themselves. And this year's theme will actually be all hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. What informed this particular theme? Let's start from there.
I think the prayer breakfast team, which meets every Thursday, as long as the House is in session, has been looking back to see where we are, where we have been. And I want to thank the people who were in that meeting. I didn't attend it. They realized that 56 years down the road, we have been talking. And I think there's something lacking. Because if you travel Africa, you travel the world, you'll realize that Uganda is really a blessed country. Plenty of everything, resources, the weather is excellent. We should not be where we are. Over the last 56 years, something has not been done as effectively as it should be. And the president was saying, Katonda yamba be yamba, God helps those who help themselves.
Yes.
As a country, 56 years down the road, is this where we really have to be? Somebody say, yes, we should accept that that's where we are, everything is fine. I am being very honest with you. I've just come in from Israel. It is 70 years old after independence, 70 years down the road. It's a desert. But in that country, almost everything works. I say to some people when I was out there, they have very little resources. In fact, one of the prime ministers said, they have no resources except the people and the minds of the people and the commitment of the people. Now, when you come to Uganda, we have everything. Everything. But why are we where we are? Because we do more mere talking and less hard work.
Then does that point out to our quality of leadership?
No, I don't want to talk about leadership. It starts with you. What are you doing in your home? The Israelis started in the kibbutz setting. That is, groups came together. We have groups in this country. What do? We play music, we dance, we bury ourselves. What else do? We wed, fantastic weddings. And hard work is put into celebration. Hard work should be put in national development. And I think if the people of this country change their attitude to work, many people in this country don't just want to work. Because it's easy for me to come to your home. If I didn't have supper last night, I'll come to you and you give me something to eat. You can't refuse. One, because you're a kind fellow. I can see that in your face. But you're also African. You say, we share. I don't want to say that sharing is wrong. We should learn to share, but we should also work hard on whatever we do. Somebody wrote a small text. He said, every profession is great if it's greatly pursued. Do we pursue our professions greatly?
So what you're saying is that we are seemingly a lazy country.
Not seemingly, we surely are a lazy country.
We are.
Now, why did we choose this theme for this year? 56 years down the road, we should start looking at how we can change our attitude.
But
it takes time.
Yes. Let me ask you, Uganda has been described as a country that has perfect policies. Amazing policies world over. Let's just stick to Africa. We have amazing policies.
Yes.
But every time and again, even when we're having discussions on the show with different influencers in the different spheres of influence, they say that we don't have an issue of policies. The issue stems from implementation.
Exactly.
It's the same thing that we always get from the ground. We are always on ground. And what people are saying, what Ugandans are saying, is the people that we elected to represent us are merely talking and not acting. Point in case, let me bring it home.
Yeah.
Just the other day, we saw parliamentarians voting, you know, the mobile taxation, 0.5 taxation.
Yeah.
And this is after a whole wrangle, of course, since 1st of July. And what the people were saying, this is a bad tax. It is going to affect our economy. We've seen experts even coming out to say that it's going to affect the cost of business at the end of the day, even if it's been reduced to 0.5% only on withdrawals.
Yeah.
What experts are actually predicting is that we're already complaining about inflation, but with the percentage, the taxation, it's gonna go higher. Yeah. So why, and what people are saying is, why aren't our leaders listening to us? Why are they just merely talking and not implementing? Why are they not hearing our cries? Who do we blame?
I think I want to take it from the entire policy process. I know, and I've said it before, the policies in Uganda are excellent. And somebody said, policies are made in Uganda, they're implemented in Rwanda. And we keep saying, hey, go to Rwanda and see. They had a genocide about maybe 10, 15 years ago, I don't remember. But when they decided to implement the policies which they borrow from us, and they polish in their country and make them better and implement them, their country is different. Everybody thinks Rwanda is a small heaven in East Africa. I've been there. And you know, somebody says the Rwandese are the Jews of East Africa. To me, I appreciate the president of Rwanda. I appreciate the way they're doing their things. I really call upon our country to change across the board. It's not only this little tax that came in. I can tell you, I supported the complete withdrawal of the tax because I know the impact on our people. But mine here today is to talk about prayer breakfast. I don't want to go there.
But
I'm not dodging something.
I think you're dodging because you can't be praying.
Yes.
The president clearly said that we can't just be praying. God only helps those who help themselves. We are going into a prayer breakfast on Monday. If we don't just go in with this realistic kind of point of view, we'll still pray and pray and pray, but nothing will change.
Exactly.
So why are you trying to
let's go back to tax.
Yes.
One, there are so many other taxes. I mean, one thing, taxation has never been appreciated. Even when Jesus was alive on earth, Zacchaeus, who was a tax collector, was looked down upon. But Jesus went to him and invited him. No, he went to him and told him, hey, come down, I will eat in your house. Tax collectors are not bad people, per se. I know lots of dirty work goes on in tax systems. Now, the American Revolution was based first and foremost on the taxation by the British. The British ruled or colonized America for many years, and they collected taxes out of there. And George Washington and the founding fathers of that great country said, no, we cannot continue with this. So they resisted the taxation. People always resist taxes. I resist this mobile money tax. I don't think it's a fair tax. Why? I mean, there are so many areas to tax. And why the small people now? How many big companies come into Uganda and they get tax holidays?
Do you think the chances of Parliament relooking that particular decision that they made?
I don't know, because, you know, everybody talks about the numbers and how was it passed. This tax was resisted. The first day they were going to vote, members of the NRM walked out of the house. And it was embarrassing. We should put our feet down and do the hard work we have to do. We do the dirty work we're supposed to do as a parliament. There's this talk about, in Uganda, they say, "Nanyine mufu yakwata awunya." If something is rotten, if somebody dies, the neighbors will come and help you. Maybe they hold the legs because the man was shot in the head and the head stinks. So the owner will touch this one. We are avoiding the real things. And that's what the party in the party in parliament, or I mean in government, worked out. The speaker was embarrassed. He told his people to come back and make a decision. When they walked out, the last people, when they walked out, the numbers did not increase. We didn't have a quorum. Now, let's get back to the basics. Can you imagine a commissioner of the party in power telling people to get out? It's wrong. So that's why I say hard work will provide a profit. Mere talk is laziness. It's poverty. Now, the next day, these fellows mobilized massively. Everybody knows the story. Many people were mobilized to go to State House. What they were told there, I don't know. It's mere speculation. They came back and they voted in favor of what they thought, or they agreed as a caucus. This country is bigger than the caucus. And I say it all the time. In Tanzania, which are our neighbors, they say, Inchi first, the nation first, the constitution next, and the people. The country should be bigger than all of us. But here, a few people are bigger than the constitution, they are bigger than the country. Okay. So it's upside down. Now, back to the theme. Hard work will lead us to success. It will lead us to wealth. We talk a lot, and you decide, you kept pushing me against into the politics of Uganda, and I appreciate that. I say the leadership class, all of us, should really revisit our decision-making process at this time. Why did we choose to have the theme a day before we celebrate independence?
Yes.
56 years down the road, are we proud of where we are? We run all over the world. Benchmarking, that's the word. When we go out there, what we see there, do we come back and say, hey, we can do better? Or we go and we do shopping and wait for the next trip?
Let's look
it's
at the
painful.
Yes, let's look at the other issue that was coming out strongly. And we always go to the ground, and we have our man on the ground, Andrew Chamagero,
Yes.
Omuntu Wawansi, the brand. What the people was saying is, if only we had tax accountability, people have no issue with paying taxes.
Excellent.
You are part of the leadership class.
Yes.
Help us understand what exactly happens behind those closed doors where we, the common person, the common people cannot access. What happens in terms of tax accountability? Why isn't the government coming through to explain to the people what their taxes are doing?
Before I got into Parliament, I always ask the question, accountability. Yesterday, in the prayer breakfast planning process, I raised the same question. Are we accountable to the people who finance this prayer breakfast thing? Because we have partners. Yes, we get money from the Speaker's office gives us money. Of course, it's from the Ministry of Finance. But that is taxpayers' money. Are we accountable? And somebody told me, man, don't touch. The challenge of accountability runs across the board. And we are going to follow this one up. If we are going to be true to ourselves, let us start by being accountable, even at this forum, the prayer breakfast. Before I even say government is not being accountable. I say I have to pay my taxes, because without taxes, a country cannot run.
Let me ask you a question, and I'm happy that you're from the FDC party, and one of the major roles of the opposition is just to keep the government on its toes and to push them to deliver excellently. With regards to the fight against corruption, what people are saying is the opposition has not done enough to push the government to fight corruption and to pledge to the fight of corruption. Why are we saying this, and yet the people are relying on opposition to make government work?
There is a very big organization called the IGG, the Inspector General of Government. Is she equipped to do her work? We legislate, we make very good policies against corruption, and this government keeps saying zero tolerance to corruption. Yes, we will make all the noises we want. Again, mere talk. If we implemented the zero tolerance to corruption, we wouldn't have the things we are seeing. Now, as opposition, somebody will tell you, we have the numbers. It's a very painful situation to be in opposition in that house today. You know something is wrong, and you sit next to a member of government and say, but this is wrong. He says, but man, you see. If the IGG was equipped to do her work, I'll be very proud. We, as opposition. You remember the golden handshake? That's a very small one. 6 billion Uganda shillings was distributed to people who were doing their work. And the investigations were headed by a colleague of mine, Honorable Katuntu. And everybody was pushed the wall. And some people said, but I just got the money. What were you doing as an extra input towards that investigation of the oil deals? A lady said, I just photocopied documents, I made tea. And the next day I went, I found 39 million shillings on my account. All these things came out. When it got to the end of where it is supposed to be, you know how it ended. The big man said, I'll take care of it. And that was the end of the story. We have so many of these investigations ending like that. So many investigations are going. All I'm saying, from the point of view of the opposition, let the systems of this country work. We have three arms of government. The executive should do its work. And let the parliament do its work. And let the judiciary do its work. When the judiciary, after, let's say, the police has done its work, they've investigated, they found somebody culpable, they take him to court. If he or she is found guilty, let them serve their sentence. But you know how we wriggle through everything. And so for me, at this point, let us work hard on our Rubengo, like the president keeps saying. Let the judiciary do its work. If somebody is found guilty, let him serve. If the fellow is innocent, let them go. There have been so many issues like, okay, the House passes a law that when you have stolen our money, you serve your sentence and you pay back the money. I don't know who has ever done that. There was this friend of mine, Sezicheye. I think he served his sentence and paid back some little money, and he ended up dying in mysterious ways. I don't want to go in that area. I really would like to keep going back to the prayer breakfast theme.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Of course,
I will
you
answer
said
it. I will.
What you said is the issue is not the opposition pushing for change and pushing and representing people's voices. The issues is the government agencies and the structures that have been put in place are always compromised. Let's move on. Of course, you're saying let's stick to the prayer breakfast. You've mentioned something to do with accountability and just point in case this particular, prayer breakfast, it will be the 20th National Prayer Breakfast. And you've said that you have been pushing for accountability even with regards to the finances that are being put to organize this particular, event. Tomorrow we'll be having the youth conference for youth leaders from across the country. Of course, this will be predominant in terms of youth conversations. And then on Sunday we'll also have the Women's Forum ahead of the prayer breakfast, of course, that will take place on Monday. And what we were asking the people, and of course you got feedback, is it important to have 3 events geared up for the same thing? Did you really have to have 3 events? Can't we just have one prayer event that the youth will be represented, the women will be represented, and we just culminate it and achieve our goals at the end of the day? Why is it important to have 3 events of the same, kind of? Yeah,
I think the themes are different. The purpose of coming together, for the women, for example, their theme is from Proverbs 30, 31 or something, I don't remember. Something to do with a woman of, a woman of value who can find, she does this, she does that. The idea is that we are trying to get the women strongly involved in uplifting themselves. In the beginning, it used to be one day, you have the women, you have the youth, and then you have the big thing, the prayer breakfast. Now, the women would meet in the afternoon, and normally it will be, they're tired, maybe they want to go home, and everybody's in a hurry. So the women ask for it. And I don't want to be so mean that it's all about affirmative action. No, it's not. The women of this country are playing a great role in developing Uganda. The women of this country are the mothers of the future. They select their topics geared around family establishment, family development. They go into business. We have women now in business. We have, somebody will be talking about how to manage a home for women. Many young women get into marriage today and tomorrow they're out of it. I don't want to blame them. Maybe the boys are the bad ones. So we also starting to talk about the young people. How do you build a state, a nation?
Okay.
A nation is built from the household. If the householders are stable, that's where it begins.
So according to you as an organizing member, as a
Yeah.
member of the organizing committee,
Yeah.
these two separate forums are justified?
I can tell you this. The young people of this country, again, are not, their attitude to work is very shaky. Again, I go back to my Israeli connection. I got to the airport, the young people who checked me out of their country are maybe less than 20 years old. Young people, they love their country. They work hard to make sure it's secure. You go through all these roadblocks, they are young people. Everybody participates in the national service. What happened here? Our national service was a good idea, but what happened? It became chaka-mchaka.
Yeah.
It was politics. It came to gun handling, and I think it fizzled out. I am one person who has met Israelis, and I'm thinking strongly, we should work.
Okay.
We should work on building relationships with Ugandan teams. We have young people going into a program called Mishav. Mishav are young people going to live on farms because we are an agricultural country. They live on farms under very hard conditions. Dry lands, little water, everything. And then it comes to, when they come back, what happens? They disappear in the crowds. Can we get these young people to work hard? For example, plant the trees. Out there, they planted 12 million trees. Here, we cut all the trees.
Okay, all
So
right.
it's a lot of things, and I know your time will not be enough. I can say we need the young men and the young women
To
for
work.
the youth,
Yes.
not for the youth conference,
Yes.
so they can understand how, if they took leadership someday, because they will,
All right.
how they run this country.
Okay.
The mothers, something else. Then all of us together as leaders.
Thank you so much, Honorable Francis Gonahasa. We hope that this time round the prayer breakfast will yield results post that, and that of course what will be discussed there, with the theme being all hard work brings profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. I hope this time round it's taken seriously and that we see the fruits of this particular national prayer breakfast. Thank you so much for coming in studios. That has been the conversation.
I'm very
Here
grateful.
on
Thank you very much for your time.
STATER. Keep it here. Morning at NTV still continues. Up next is On the Ground with Andrew Chamagero. Keep it here.
You're watching Morning at NTV.